Fox was the only man. There was no earth, only water was everywhere. And Fox said,
I'm lonely. Yip, 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 yip. I'm lonely. I want to meet someone.
And so Fox began to sing in order to meet someone. He sang, and there was Coyote. Said Fox.
I thought I was going to meet someone.
Hey, said Coyote, I am someone. And anyway, Fox, what are you doing here,
I am creating the world. Yep. I am creating the world.
Oh, and how are you going to do that, Fox? Now Fox thought. And he said,
Sing.
And as Fox began to sing, there, out of the ocean floor, came rising up. North America came rising out of the ocean floor like a great turtle in the middle of the ocean. And as Fox was singing, there came the trees growing up to the sky. And there came all of the animal people. There came the great big bird people. And there were those shoo, 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 deer people too. And those snake people. And there was the sound. There was always the sound of footsteps. Tracks, tracks, tracks. As Coyote was making his way. Track, track, track. Now this was in the time before the coming of the human beings, when there were only animal people. And in this time there was a sound that came to the animal people, and they all recognized it as the voice of the Great Spirit. Some of you have names now. Some of you will need new names for when the human beings come. Come to my lodge in the morning, and I will give you your new name.
Well, Coyote heard this, and he was so excited about getting a new name for himself that he went walking all over the villages, bragging to everyone about how he, Coyote, was going to be called a new name. Coyote was going about sort of like this. I, Coyote, will be the first one to the Great Spirit's lodge in the morning. And then all of you will be calling me a grizzly bear, chief of the mountain people.
Now, do you think that the other animal people were listening to Coyote when he talked in this way?
No, they knew about Coyote, and in fact they had a special name for this Coyote when he was acting like this. They called him Slick Puth Puth. And some of them called him Cinchile.
And both of those names meant the same thing. They meant that Coyote was sort of a fool, an imitator. Oh, they knew about Coyote, for whenever he saw the hummingbird fly up in the air and down like a hummingbird can, Coyote would always say, "Oh, I can do that too." But he didn't even have any wings on. And so when people saw Coyote walking by, they would say, "Slick Puth Puth." "No," said Coyote, "don't call me Slick Puth Puth. I, Coyote, will be the first one to the Great Spirit's lodge in the morning, and then all of you will be calling me
What was I going to call myself? A grizzly bear, a chief of the mountain people. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so Coyote went on in this way, and soon his younger brother Fox came running after him.
Coyote! Hey, Coyote! Do you realize everyone is calling you Slick Puss Puss Coyote?
Oh, Fox, what do they know, huh? No, Fox, I am going to stay up all night long, Fox, and then for sure I will be the first one to the Great Spirit's Lodge in the morning. And even you, Fox, you will be calling me... you will be calling me Salmon. Salmon, chief of the fisher people.
I don't know, Coyote. I think you're going to have to keep your own name. Yip, yip, yip.
Oh, Fox, what do you know, huh?
Well, I don't know, Coyote. I think it is a good name for you. Yip, 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 yip.
Mm-hmm. Now, Coyote didn't listen to his brother Fox, and he walked all the ways back to his house, and there he built up a huge fire. He was going to stay up all night long. And there Coyote sat in front of his fire, dreaming of his new name. Grizzly bear. Grizzly bear. Salmon. Now, a little bit later, Coyote became a little more tired. His eyelids began to droop, and he began to think, grizzly bear. I am going to have to stay up all night long. I know. 2 sticks. And there Coyote took 2 sticks, and he propped open his eyelids with those 2 sticks. There he sat in front of his fire. Salmon, a grizzly bear. The sticks broke, and Coyote oh, yes, that Coyote did that. He fell right asleep. And so the next morning when he woke up and ran out to the Great Spirit's Lodge, he came running. I, Coyote, I will take the name Grizzly Bear, Chief of the Mountain People. Grizzly Bear was taken at dawn.
Oh, said Coyote, well, then I will take the name,
Salmon, Chief of the Fisher People. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Salmon swam away at dawn. No, Coyote, you must keep your name, Trickster. It is a good name for you. Soon the human beings will be coming, and you must make the world ready for them. To do this, I will give you 2 powers. You have the power to come back to life whenever you die. And you will have the power to create whatever you can imagine. Go out, Coyote.
was so amazed at his new powers that he went out right that very day and began to make his tracks all across North America. He made his tracks all across the great Rocky Mountains, and he made his tracks all across the Wallowa Mountains, and he made his tracks down into eastern Oregon. And that day that Coyote was walking along, it was hot, and Coyote was walking tracks. And so Coyote decided to take a little rest, a little snooze in the shade of a juniper tree. And there he curled up in the shade of that tree. And all of a sudden, there came a sound. It sounded like this. Now, if you heard a sound like that, don't you think you might wake up? Well, Coyote woke up, and he ran down the trail to see who was coming. He was looking down the trail, and he went, it was Numozoko, Cannibal Man. Said Coyote, cannibals, they eat people. I am a coyote person. He is probably going to want to eat me. And so quickly, Coyote began to use that power that the Great Spirit had given him. He began to use the power of his imagination, and he was thinking, I know, said Coyote. I know just what to do about a monster like this. I'm going to run away. That's what I'm going to do. And Coyote started to run away. He was running away. Then he stopped. He thought, no, I can't run away. Soon the human beings will be coming, and they can't have this cannibal man eating them up. So Coyote began to think again. He was thinking, I know, said Coyote. I will imagine myself to be a very skinny, scrawny, stingy looking coyote, and Numozoko will just pass me by. And so Coyote began to imagine himself, and as he imagined himself, he slowly became a very skinny, scrawny, sickly-looking coyote. Now here comes Numozoko. Coyote, Coyote, you want to play a game with me, Coyote? Oh, no, can you not see, brother? I am too sick, and skinny, and scrawny, to play any game with you. Said Numozoko. Oh, but I want to play a game that is a really good game. And if you don't play with me, I'm going to kill you. Like that. Oh, said Coyote. Like that, huh? Oh, well, in that case, brother, I feel much better now, thank you. Yes. What kind of game do you want to play? Oh, I know a really good game. It's called Rocks.
tracks. You see, first I throw a rock at you, and then you throw a rock at me. It sounds like fun, huh?
Oh, yes. Coyote knew about this game. He knew it was a very old game, and some people still play this game today, yes. Coyote knew it was a very dangerous game, but he kept telling Numozoko, "Oh, yes, that sounds like lots of fun." But the whole time Coyote was saying yes to Numozoko, he was thinking and thinking about a way to get out of this game. Oh, and finally he had a coyote idea. Now he began to imagine himself not as a skinny coyote, but as a big, fat coyote. And he took his skin and he stretched it out onto a juniper tree, so he was looking like a really big, fat coyote. And then he said, "Go ahead, brother, throw that rock." And Numozoko picked up that rock and threw that rock. And Coyote took his skin and went like this, and the rock went whoop. "A very good throw, brother, but you missed. And now it is my turn." And so Coyote picked up that rock. He put some spit into each one of his paws. The coyote threw that rock. Landed right on top of Numozoko and smooshed him out flat. Said Coyote, "It is a very good thing I am doing. Soon the human beings will be coming, and they won't have to worry about this Numozoko, cannibal man again." And so Coyote went on his way, making his tracks. Now Coyote made his tracks all over North America, making it ready for the human beings. And one time he made his tracks down into a beautiful green valley in Northern California. And it was there that Old Man Coyote met up with Old Woman Coyote. And it was not very long after that the two of them were living in the very same den together. And it was not very long after that they had two little puppy coyotes too. Oh, these puppies were so cute. They had furry little ears, and they were just learning how to sing. They would sing, well, they were learning how to sing. And one day, Old Woman Coyote, she says to Old Man Coyote, "Coyote, I am going out to dig some roots for tonight's dinner. You stay here and watch those puppy coyotes. Don't you leave those puppies in the sun. If you leave them in the sun, they will surely die of heat stroke." Now Coyote, he sat there and he watched those puppies for a while. And then he began to smell some salmon that his neighbor was roasting, and he went over to pay him a visit. And he left his pups in the sun. And so when Coyote came home, there were his pups, dead on the ground. "Oh, it is not my fault that my pups are dead. No, it is the sun's fault. Yes, I will go up into the sky and kill that sun and teach him a lesson." That is what Coyote thought. And so he took out one of his arrows and he shot it up into the sky. And it in the sky. There, Coyote took out another arrow, and he shot that arrow, and it stuck right in the back of the first arrow. So Coyote kept on shooting arrows until he had a long, long ladder of arrows coming out of the sky. And there Coyote climbed up that ladder until he came up into the sky world. There he looked off in the horizon. He saw the sun just about to set in the west. And Coyote thought, oh, I'll just run across the sky and I'll catch him just when he catches near the earth. And so Coyote started to run all the ways across the sky. And just when he came to the edge of the earth, the sun went behind the earth. Coyote was standing there at the edge of the sky, screaming at the sun, "Hey, come on back here, you! Huh? What? Are you chicken or something? Come on back and fight, huh?" And the whole time Coyote was screaming at that sun, he didn't realize that the sun had gone around the earth and come up behind him in the east. Coyote turned around. "Hey! Come on back here, you!" And Coyote was running across that sky, trying to catch that sun. And the whole time Coyote was running across that sky, the sun was going right over his head. And Coyote was saying, "Hey, come on back here and fight, you, huh?" And Coyote was running across that sky all the ways into the west, and the sun just went behind the earth. "Oh, come on back here, you, and fight on!" Coyote was screaming insults at the sun. And the sun just came up in the east. Hey! And so Coyote was running to the east and running to the west. And after a while, that Coyote was pretty tired. He was just... Well, maybe it isn't such a good idea to try to kill the sun, thought Coyote. And anyway, he was beginning to miss Old Woman Coyote. And so he decided to go back to the earth. But how was he going to do that? Well, he asked for a little bit of help from little Spider Woman. Everyone knows that Spider Woman makes the strongest rope. And so Spider Woman made some of her fine, strong rope, and Coyote was going down, down on that rope. And the whole time Coyote was going down, he kept on looking up at where that rope was coming from. It was coming right out of Spider's butt. And you know, spiders have rather big butts, too. Spider's butt. Coyote started to laugh and snicker. Now Spider Woman heard Coyote down there laughing at her butt, and she didn't like this. And so she pulled Coyote up into the sky again. She said, "Look here, Coyote. I am helping you, and you are laughing at my butt. That is not very nice." "Oh," said Coyote, "I knew I should not have laughed at your butt, Spider Woman, but I forgot. I promise you, if you let me down one more time, I promise you I will not laugh at your butt, okay?" And so Spider Woman let Coyote down again, and there was Coyote. He was going down, down on Spider's rope, and the whole time he was looking right up at where that rope was coming from. Now Spider Woman heard Coyote snickering. Even though he kept on closing up his mouth, she heard him, and she pulled him back up into the sky, and she said, "Look here, Coyote. I am helping you, and you are laughing at my butt. That is not very nice." "Oh," said Coyote, "I knew I should not have laughed at your butt, Spider Woman. I knew it. I just forgot. Look, I promise you. Just let me down one more time, please. Just one more time. I promise you I will not laugh at your butt. Now, how many of you would let Coyote down on your rope, Now think about this. You know, spiders are very little people. Well, they're very flat people, too. But don't let that fool you, for every spider has a very big heart. For it was in this big heart that Spider-Woman found a way to let Coyote down again on her rope. And there was Coyote going down, down on that rope, trying not to look up at Spider's butt. Spider's butt is up there, I know. Now Spider heard Coyote down there snickering quietly, and she had enough of it, and so she just cut that rope, and Coyote was falling. Splat! Right in the middle of the Nevada desert. A hard place to fall. There was Coyote. He was dead, rubbed out. He was kind of a mess, too, just kind of all over the place. And soon his relatives, the other animal people, came by, and they said, "Hey, Coyote's dead. Good, let's eat him up." And so his relatives began to eat him up. Oh, they were eating up his fur, and they ate out his insides. They ate out his eyeballs. Well, they ate up all of Old Man Coyote, except for his bones. And even then, some of those little desert lice came by, and they were eating little holes in those bones. And then the wind came by, and those bones began to sing. Now Fox heard those bones singing. He heard those bones singing off somewhere, and he came to those bones and he said, Old Man Coyote has been fooling around again. Yep. And so little Fox, he jumped over those bones. He jumped over those bones 4 times for the 4 directions. And on the 4th time, Coyote came back to life. And he said, I have had a long sleep. And he went right on his way, making his tracks. Now Coyote made his tracks all over North America, and once he was making his tracks along the great Columbia River. And there he began to build huge fishing platforms, for soon the human beings would be coming, and they would need these to fish from. And there Coyote was working when he stepped backwards right onto Meadowlark's leg. Coyote. Coyote. A great monster? Swallowing up all the people? But I am making these fishing platforms, for soon the human beings will be coming. Doesn't do much good to make these platforms if there is a monster swallowing everything up. Sister, you must tell me, where can I find this monster?
Oh, no, Coyote. I won't tell you anything, because every time I tell you something, Coyote, you always say, "Oh, I already knew that. I just forgot."
Oh, no. Me? I wouldn't say that. Please, sister, you must tell me where this monster is. I am making the world ready for the human beings.
Oh, no, I won't, Coyote.
Now Coyote used his imagination. There he took a little branch, a twig from a tree, and he built a new leg for Old Woman Meadowlark. And she liked her new leg so well that she told Coyote where the great monster was. He was all the ways over the Cascade Mountains in eastern Oregon.
Oh, a great monster would have to be in eastern Oregon.
I already knew that. I just forgot. And Meadowlark flew away. Now Coyote got ready for his journey. He took 5 obsidian knives and threw them into a backsack. He took 3 fine ropes and a fire drill and some pitch, and he threw all of these into his backsack. And he threw his backsack onto his back and carried the strap across his forehead and set out for the great Cascade Mountains. There where he came to the base of the mountains, he took out his 3 ropes and he lassoed what we call Mount Jefferson. And he lassoed Mount Hood and Mount Adams. And there Coyote pulled himself up over the mountains, peering out into eastern Oregon. There was a huge monster. His tail was all the ways up in Canada, and his head was over near the California border. And he turned his head, swallowing up trees and animals in his path. Oh, Coyote took one look at this monster and said, I think I'm going to go back the way I came. But then Coyote, he remembered to use that power that the Great Spirit had given him, the power of his imagination, and he was thinking,
I know, thought Coyote. I will take a bath.
And so Coyote crept down the mountainside into a beautiful mountain lake. And there he washed himself all over, washed himself good until he smelt really good.
Ah, he said, now I smell good enough to eat, huh?
And so Coyote climbed back up to the top of the mountains. And there he shook the heather at the top of the mountains.
Is that you, Coyote?
Yes, brother, it is me, Coyote. I bet you can't swallow me up.
You think I can't swallow you up, Coyote? Well, Coyote, why don't you try to swallow me up first?
All right, brother, I'll try to swallow you. And so Coyote took a big breath. But the monster only quivered in the wind.
You thought you could swallow me up, Coyote? it is my turn.
And Coyote was lifted up in the air, and he was flying all the ways across eastern Oregon. And there he took out of his backpack some juniper seeds, and he threw those out into eastern Oregon. He took out some huckleberry seeds, and he threw those out, and all of those plants began to grow, and Coyote was flying through the air saying, soon the human beings will be coming, and they will need these things to eat. And he went into the mouth of the swallowing monster.
Oh, it's dark in here.
Now Coyote was walking on the bones of the people that had died inside of this monster. He came on to the tongue, and he was walking down the tongue of the monster. This was Grizzly Bear. Coyote punched him right in the nose, flattened his nose right out. Ah, Grizzly Bear, you think you are so fierce, arrghing at everyone like that? If you are so fierce, Grizzly Bear, how come you are inside of this monster, huh? What could Grizzly Bear say? He had to go off always with that flat nose. Now Coyote went further down the tongue of the monster. Here came Rattlesnake. Coyote stepped on his head, flattening it right out. Oh, Rattlesnake, you're always going around singing at everyone like that. If you are so fierce, Rattlesnake, how is it that you are inside of this monster, huh? What could Rattlesnake say? He went off always to have that flat head. Now soon Coyote came to the center, to the heart of the monster, and there were animal people still barely alive within the monster. They seemed like hollow forms. Coyote took out his obsidian knives, and he began to cut away at the heart, cutting off pieces of fat and throwing it to the animals who were still alive inside of the monster. There, sweeten your mouths with that. And Coyote cut away at this monster until there was enough fat just kind of dripping down the sides of the heart that he pulled out his fire drill and the pitch, and he began to make a little fire. Soon a little fire began to grow, and the flames licked up around the base of the heart, melting the fat which dripped into the fire, and the flames grew up around the heart, melting more fat which dripped into the fire, and the flames grew up and all about the heart, melting more fat which dripped into the fire, until all at once the monster began to feel sick, and he said,
"Oh, Coyote, I should have known better than to swallow you, Coyote. Now I have heartburn. Oh, Coyote, come out of my ears, Coyote, come out of my ears."
"What?" said Coyote. "Come out of your ears? Yeah, sure. And then when the human beings come and they see Coyote walking along, they won't say, 'There is Coyote, the creator of North America.' No, they will say, 'Look, there goes some earwax.'"
Oh, Coyote, Coyote, come out of my mouth, Coyote, come
come out of my mouth. What? Said Coyote. Come out of your mouth? Sure, and then let the people say that he who brought the salmon to the Columbia River is some vomit? No, 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 brother. I'm staying right here. Oh, Coyote, Coyote, come out of my nose. Coyote, come out of my nose. Whoa! Come out of your nose? Sure. And then the human beings will not say, there is the great Coyote. No, they will say, hey, look, there goes some snot walking along. No, 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 brother, I am staying right here. Oh, Coyote, come out of my rear end hole, Coyote. Oh, sure. I should come out there, and then let the human beings say, he, the great creator of the food who brought all of our food to us, he is some of that? No, 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 brother, I am staying right here. Oh, that monster was in such pain. But Coyote refused to leave his insides. There Coyote was busy working away with his obsidian knives. As each knife broke, he had another knife, and he was cutting away at that heart, cutting away until at last there was only one sinew holding the entire heart. Now Coyote told all of the animal people, quickly, go to all of the holes of the monster. There, push all of the bones of the people who have died to the opening of the hole. And when I tell you the monster will die, there his holes will all open up for a moment. Push the bones out and jump out yourselves, for when he is dead, all the holes will close. And who should be going along at that moment but old Muskrat? Hurry up, Muskrat! Hurry up! Soon the monster will be dead! But Muskrat went on his own way. Now Coyote took his obsidian knife and he sliced that last sinew. All of the monster's holes opened up for a moment, and then all of the animal people popped out of the holes of the monster. And there Coyote was outside himself, inspecting the whole monster. When he came to one hole, there was Muskrat, with his tail still stuck in the monster. Oh, Muskrat, I told you you should have walked faster. And there Coyote pulled and pulled on Muskrat until he pulled him out of the hole, but pulled all of the hair off of his tail. Now look at you, Muskrat. Now, from now on, you and all of those muskrat people will have to go on with those silly-looking tails there with no fur on it to remind you not to be so slow. But Muskrat, he went on his own way. Now Coyote took his obsidian knives and he began to cut this monster up into great pieces. And when he took each piece of flesh and threw it out across the northwest, there where it landed sprung up a group of human beings. In this way, Coyote created all of the human beings of the Northwest. You people, you will be called the Spokane people. You will be the Shoshone people. You will be the Cayuse and the Umatilla and all of the people of this region. Now, when Coyote had thrown all of the flesh away, he was feeling very good about himself, and so he began to brag, as he usually does. It is a very good thing I am doing. And there came his younger brother, Fox.
Hey, Coyote, what about the peoples for right here, Coyote?
Oh, I knew I had to make the people for right here, Fox. I just, forgot about it. And so, Coyote, he took the bones of the people who had died inside of this great monster, and he put those bones in one pile. Then he took the heart of the monster, and he squished the blood out of the heart, which fell onto the bones, and those bones sprung to life as human beings. Coyote said to these human beings, You Nez Perce, you will be a very small people because I have deprived you, but you will always have a very big heart. And so it was that Coyote created the Nez Perce people, and then he went right on his way, making his tracks. Now Coyote was making his tracks, and he made his tracks back over the great Cascade Mountains, and he made his tracks through the Willamette Valley, and he made his tracks over the Coast Range. And when Coyote came to the ocean, there he saw a long line of people standing and staring out at the ocean. Coyote came to the last one in line. He said, Hey, brother, why are all of the animal people standing here in line? This one was Grizzly Bear. He said,
Oh, we don't want to stand here, but it is that woman. She makes us stand here.
And so Coyote went to the front of this line. There he saw a horrible-looking woman. Her name was Attila. And this woman had long strips of seaweed entangled in her hair, and huge crab claws hanging off of her dress. And she had a lot of power, this woman. She had cast a spell upon all of these animal people, so they could not move. Then she would take one person at a time, wrap them onto a cradle board, and throw them out into the waves of the Pacific Ocean, calling, Go forever! And the people would go out, and after some time the cradle board would come back with nothing but bones on it. Oh, in their hearts, the people did not want to be standing there. But this woman had a lot of power. But Coyote, he had his power too. He had that power of his imagination, and he was busy thinking. Then he had a coyote idea. He would do what a coyote can do best. He would start to brag. And so Coyote went to the front of the line, and he began to brag about himself. It's no big deal to be wrapped up on a cradle board and thrown out into the Pacific Ocean and come back alive. Anybody could be tied onto a cradle board and thrown out into those big waves of the Pacific Ocean and come back alive. Now Attila heard Coyote bragging in this way, and she could not stand it. And so she came next to Coyote, and she began to brag about herself and how she could do this too. And so Coyote said, Good. If I go out and come back alive, then you too will have to go out. Well, they made this little bet. And so Attila wrapped Coyote onto that cradle board, and she threw him out into the waves of the Pacific Ocean, screaming after him, "Go forever!" And all of the animal people, they raised their voices together in one call. And come back, Coyote. And then they waited. They waited and waited. They waited and waited. And then one of them saw Coyote. He was standing on the cradle board, and he came right up onto that beach. And there he grabbed Attila, and he wrapped her up on that cradle board, and Coyote threw her out into the waves of the Pacific, and Coyote and all of the animal people called out together, "Go forever!" And Coyote said, "And don't bother coming back." And still, to this day, she has never come back. But still to this day, the people will go to the Pacific Ocean, and there they will stare out at the Pacific. Nobody really knows why.